Marvelous.
Hello, Player 3 here, winding the clock back to 2001, the first game I played on this channel in the 21st century, and the first one with more curse words and blood in it than a Tarantino movie. That's right, it's Conker's Bad Fur Day. First showing off the character Conker at E3 in 1997 in Conker's Quest, then changing it the following year at E3 to 12 Tales, Conker 64, and set to release that fall. But members of the team behind the game found that other platformers coming out on the N64 were very similar to what their game would be, and in order to not get lost in that mix, they had to rethink what their game with Conker should be. Among disagreements with the team and delays, the game was thought to be cancelled, but upon Chris Seaver joining the team and bringing up his ideas to Rare founders Tim and Chris Stamper, starting off with the first level, things were about to change. The first level, collecting back Mrs. B's beehive from the killer wasps. After delivering it to her, a bunch of machine guns come out to shoot the wasps. The team found it funny, and upon seeing this, Tim Stamper saw this and also found it funny, saying that they should have more of this in the game. And the very adult nature of the game just rolled on out and didn't stop. Thus, Conker's Bad Fur Day was born. The day in the life of a cute red squirrel in a raunchy world. The target audience being male college students, which, yeah, I can see that, and adults who used to play the game as a kid. Rare's co-founder Chris Stamper saying, "When people grow up on games, they don't stop playing. There aren't games for people who grew up on the early systems." Naturally, with that target audience and that type of humor, the game received a mature rating. The second ever mature rated Nintendo distributed game. The first, Perfect Dark, which was also made by Rare. With that being the case, Nintendo was concerned about kids playing the game, even leaving it out of their Nintendo Power magazine. But the marketing campaign was crazy. Having a Playboy model host a competition around different colleges to win a console and copy of the game by competing in Conker's multiplayer modes, and having ads in both Playboy and Maxim magazine. There was at least one really bizarre commercial, which I'm not gonna show here, but it's not hard to find. And on March 5th, 2001, Conker's Bad Fur Day was released, and was expected to give Nintendo and Rare a good fur day. As per the new tactic of mine, which honestly I should have been doing with every game, I looked through the manual first, in order to understand the controls before even opening the game, find hints, learning about the story, etc. But I was a bit surprised to find not much. I guess after seeing the manual for Earthworm Jim and seeing pages upon pages of story and explanations of every item and level in the game, Conker's manual provided the controls, which the game also went over, Conker's backstory, which was also in the intro cutscene, backstories of a few characters, some unique weapons and features, which it also shows you in the game, and the multiplayer mode, which have cutscenes explaining them in the game. So the manual didn't help me a whole lot. Whatever it did help me with, I had forgotten by the time I reached those parts in the game anyway. So, I'm glad they were mentioned in the game as well. Going back to what I mentioned, the intro cutscene, I'm going to try to keep this brief. I'm actually going to try to keep this whole video brief. Conker is not a short game. It took me about 12 hours to beat. Compared to Earthworm Jim, which took me about 4, that's a lot. And that video was over 20 minutes. That won't be the case here, so I won't bring up every ounce of the game, just my highlights, which I still have a good amount of, but half of my notes are complaints. I'll try to keep those to a minimum, at least to the end. Sorry, where was I? Ah, yes, the intro cutscene. Jeez, I'm out of it. Maybe I'm as fucked up as Conker was on that rainy night. Okay, starting off with a Clockwork Orange reference. That's cool. That should be a giveaway, at least that it's for adults. You know, other than the M on the front of the box. No kid is gonna get that reference, but I'll keep my mind out for more references. I like it when games or books or whatever reference other media that I've seen and enjoy. Maybe Conker will have a couple more. Just a couple. A couple more. And damn, the game just started, not even. It's the cutscene. Why does that square ass have to go so hard? Anyways, in short, Conker was out drinking with his buddies. It was getting later than expected, so he called his girlfriend Barry. telling her that he will be home late, but lying about where he actually was and what he was doing. After a few too many drinks later, Conker started heading home. But in his drunken state, he took a wrong turn, and after waking up with a pretty bad hangover, found himself lost in a strange area, and now had to find his way home. Starting now in this tutorial area, or chapter 1 of 9, I first realized that my controller was kinda busted. Something was wrong with the joystick, and Conker was almost always slowly moving. This definitely didn't help throughout the game, as the mechanical side wasn't all that great to begin with, but here you take Conker to meet Birdie. Good old drunkard Birdie. Not Beardy. He teaches a few controls, makes a few jokes, you break the fourth wall, good times all around. Until I had to jump. Until now it seemed good, but now I begin to learn that I'm gonna hate how the controls respond. Oh yeah. I forgot about this part. This stupid key. There are a few parts like this later in the game too. Why did they have to make it so frame perfect for timing when you hit this guy? Anyways, now that we are past the gargoyle, we move on to the main hub area of the game. But first, another cutscene, introducing the Panther King. God, I hate him. Like, he's so unnerving. So, well done, I guess. Yeah. Oh, yes, the table. Well, whatever could you do to fix that? Oh, yeah. A red squirrel. Duh. And here's the first level that I mentioned earlier, retrieving Mrs. B's beehive and shooting down the wasps. And we get our first stack of cash. You need those. All of those. I found that out the hard way. Uh-oh. I died. I'm out of lives. Shit. I guess it's game over. Not quite. The amazing Grim Reaper, perpetually on helium, is Greg. What? Was that a Star Wars reference? Oh my, these references are gonna get out of hand, aren't they? Anyways, Greg gives me another chance, and what I found out by dying later in the game, I believe I have as many chances as I want. If I lose all my lives, I just have to start the level over again. Annoying, but at least it's not starting the whole game over. Back to the overworld, currently on Chapter 2. Chapter 1 was just being the tutorial level. I found some more cash. Each time you do, Conker speaks directly to you, breaking the fourth wall. For some reason, I thought this time it was louder than the rest. He's always been a little louder than his normal dialogue in this state. But it was weird. Anyway, moving on to the Barn Boys, Chapter 3. But I haven't finished everything in Chapter 2. It's weird. The chapters aren't linear. The chapters being different areas in the game, but anyways, in this barn, Frankie, Mr. Paint Bucket, and Mr. Paintbrush. Now I don't mind cursing. I do it quite a bit, in fact, but something about the way these guys cursed was just a bit gratuitous. It was a bit off-putting. But some of it was funny for sure, like Conker's incest joke and when Frankie hung himself. It sounded like the voice actor for Mr. Paint Bucket was laughing while delivering his line.
What are you doing?
Laughing at how dumb this is. And it was dumb and funny. And back outside, we have Confused and Horny, helping out Mr. B get his busty sunflower, and going for a bounce ourselves to grab some more cash. Oh boy. If you thought that was weird, just wait. Oh yes, thank you for reminding me that this is a platformer, because of platforms. God, I can't escape Bubsy, can I? He's the nightmare I can't shake. That's far enough into the game now that I consider this spoiler territory. So if you don't want to see any spoilers, skip to this time in the description or on screen, or sit back and enjoy the ride. Down the drain. Down to shit. A lot of shit. So far that we meet the mighty Pooh, and he sings us a lovely song. Wow, okay, no. At least he was an easy fight. Now another cutscene, back with Barry. What in the world? Did Cookie Monster just knock Barry the fuck out? I guess we'll catch up with her later. In the meantime, this brings a whole new meaning to piss drunk. Oh, I died again. Maybe for the best. Oh, I almost forgot. Big fan of the idle animations. Those always are a nice touch in a game. At this point, we were a little over halfway through the game. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. The first half was a bit slow and clunky of sorts, but they packed the second half full of energy and references and a bit more variety. This definitely was the turning point for me and my enjoyment. Once reaching the Ugga Bugga realm, the music for this first part outside the club reminded me of that one intro song of the show they played for us in school sometimes, you know? Eyewitness, right? Yeah. Or is it just me? Whatever. Then after breaking through the rock wall with this boulder, the music gets even better. I love it. Just listen. And now we must hatch giant baby Yoshi and immediately kill him. Every time I think Conker is going to be a good guy for once, I'm always surprised that he's just a dick. Making it past the ritual area and gaining the trust of the Uggas, it's time to enter the club. Rock solid. Holy shit, this music keeps getting better. This shit slaps. Oh, there's Barry. Oh, we just missed her. We gotta go after her. Ah, there oh. Is this the Godfather? Or the Untouchables? Yeah, this scene is straight out of the Untouchables. They are making these references obvious now. Now, this is different. Now, this is pod racing. Now, this is uncalled for. They have to die now. I begin to realize now that every fight is done in threes. 3 hits to finish them off, or 3 phases, stuff like that. I enjoyed that. It made the more mundane missions bearable, knowing how long it would take rather than being completely blind. I know Halloween is past already for this year, but it's time to get spooky, and time to piss me off again. This is the first instance of shooting a weapon in the game, and again, could partly be my controller, but the sensitivity of this seemed through the roof, and it didn't stop on a dime, so this part took longer than I would have hoped. Okay, wow. That's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Alright. I'm gonna bring up the references later. I'll stop mentioning them for now. Oh my god, I'm a bat now. And wow, I thought the flying here would be as wonky as swimming, but this works really well for some reason. This is some of the best controls I've had in the game so far. More of this, please. Oh no, we're at war. Oh yeah, I forgot about the teddies. Oh my, we're in the thick of it. We're dropping right into D-Day. Oh no, this isn't. It's straight from. I'm gonna bring up the references later. I'll stop mentioning them for now. This started to get a bit tricky. Back with the shooting mechanic, which I was still having trouble with, but all these lasers and teddies popping out around the corners, it took me quite a few tries, but it was fun. This has to be the climax of the game, right? Well, close, but not quite. After we break through the lock and drive the tank, we save the girl, or rather, fight the girl, then escape the base and leave the beach. We end the war and make it home. Well, not Conker's final destination home, but we as players, the home world area of sorts. And now it's heist time. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay, I'll say it. This is the Matrix. This whole mission is the Matrix. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's awesome. And there he is. We finally meet him. The Panther King. This has got to be the end. Oh, God. Oh, God. Barry. Aliens. What's going on? Make it stop. And that's it. King Conker and his bad fur day. Wild to say it was a bad day when you became king, but that's Conker. He just wanted to go home with Barry and have a bottle of beer. But that's not gonna happen. What Conker knew before, that's gone. All gone. Following the US release, Europe was next, but Nintendo of Europe would not release it because of the heavily mature nature. So they published it through THQ instead. Unfortunately though, the first month of sales was looking good. Conker was not a commercial success. The mature nature coupled with being released near the end of the 64's life just wasn't meant to be. It has since become a cult classic. There are those that love it for how unique the game is, and you would think that the critics would hate it, but game critics were cooler back then. And there were, of course, those that hated the game for the very same reason that people loved it. But for me, it was a bit different. I mean, I did enjoy the adult content for some extent, but there were definitely parts that were overboard and started to become more annoying. But for most of my gripes, they come from the mechanical side. The camera was not cooperative in the slightest. I believe there was a similar issue with other 64 games. I'm not too familiar with the console or games on it, but from what I've seen, the camera acts about the same, getting stuck occasionally against a wall, and you can't see where to go. But it seemed like it was on overdrive and downright abysmal here, and the controls were too finicky, and that led to a bit less of an ideal experience. As you can probably tell by now, I didn't care too much for this game. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. That sucks because before picking up this game, I predicted that I would rate it around 8.5. In reality though, I'm giving it a 6.25 out of 10. Yes, I'm using quarter grades now. Don't worry, I'm not retconning previous ratings again. This just gives me more space to slot in games so they don't end up saying all the same rating. But 6.25 isn't that bad. Like I said, my biggest gripes were the controls. The rest of it, I found really enjoyable, the story, what have you. But if you'd like to check it out for yourself, please do. It's a unique game, with a pretty neat story, with a good collection of unique characters and good voice acting. If you have any critiques or recommendations, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy what I have in store. That's all for now. See you next time. Look at all these references. Oh, come on. I love them, but wow.